Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Set the Pipe. I'm with CK and Bear. We are here just to chat, and later on we're going to be bringing on Dave Detinley to get that East Coast D3 perspective. But for now, there's been a lot of stuff going on in college and beach, juniors, and a lot of stuff to talk about today. So what's up, fellas?
How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah, Bear,
Dine.
look at Bear. Come on, Bear. Show some energy, brother.
I got a great story for us to tell right here, and it's about Set the Pipe, and it goes back to a Paul Mitchell teammate, a Long Beach State teammate. So Matt Lyles reaches out the
Matty
other day.
Lou.
Matty Lou.
Yes.
Hey, Matty Lou.
Matty Lou.
Hit subscribe. And like he said, the first he goes, hit subscribe and set the pipe. So he sends us a text, Mooney and I, and he's sending us a picture of his youngest daughter. Him and Jamie are coaching her, and it's volleyball stuff, and it's awesome. And they're at junior tournament, and everything's going great, and it's just going back and forth, about basketball. Their son's out now. Braden lost this past week, and so everything, it's all good. Thanks, all good. Yeah. It's all good. So we're going back and forth, and so I send him the video of one of the videos of set the pipe, and his first comment was, "Dude, do you have the one time you hit the pipe off me to beat us on the video?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's on there," but I was kidding. But it's so funny. Like, what's so rad about doing this with you two, for me personally, is so many people have reached out on the positive side, like through LinkedIn, through just Instagram, through texts. "Hey, we want to be on. Hey, this is great. I love to hear the stories. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep, talking about volleyball." Then you have folks like your teammate from college, Matt, my good friend, Matt, who had no idea we were even doing it, who was just with Ben Bodipo, by the way, because Ben was there supporting. Okay. And Ben and I have talked about it, right? Ben knows we're on it. So I'm like, Matty, he's like, "What have I been doing?" I'm like, "Oh my goodness, Matt, you got 13 to catch up to, buddy. We've had Ferbs, we've had Holly, I'm going through he's like, really? I'm like, yes, Matt. I'm like, and on top of it, which would be cool, is to have you on it for a few reasons. One, he's a Long Beach State 49er national champion. Yep. He is a Paul Mitchell alumni. Mm-hmm. And he's involved in what we talked about with that group. Him and his wife both played college volleyball. They have 2 kids. One's a young junior just thriving and learning the sport of volleyball and loving it. And then their son, good volleyball player, but kind of going down the Braden path, loves hoops, right? So he's been playing hoops. And, they were in the open division in NorCal, and he had a great year too. And but him and Jamie would be great to have on here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that'd be good. Yeah, we're on that text chain with our Long Beach guys too. And I haven't put it, honestly, and I haven't put it out there. Hey, are you guys listening to Set the Pipe yet? I'm kind of waiting for them to go, hey, listen to it. Hey, it was pretty good, So I'm just kind of waiting, but maybe I should be proactive and marketing a little bit better. But
well, it's not so much. Oh, go ahead, Bear. What were you going to say?
I was just saying we're getting out there a little bit. And here's something kind of a little bit off topic is my mother-in-law asked me about it the other day. She goes, "Hey, I was on YouTube the other day and I saw you're doing a podcast." She didn't even know. And somehow it came up on her feed. And she goes, "You guys look really professional. You guys have headphones and microphones and everything. Looks great." And I'm like, wow.
And then my mother-in-law, "Hey, did you subscribe?"
Who's not involved in volleyball at all. So
did you ask her to hit subscribe?
She didn't know how to. I go, "Next time I'm over at your place, I'll help you with it, and you can subscribe."
Yeah, she's like, "I don't know how to do it."
And set the pipe.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been so fun, and I think to all the people out there listening, I hope you're enjoying this too. And the biggest thing we're going to continue to do is tell stories about us. Tell stories about our friends, tell stories about volleyball players and volleyball people and anything that, kind of touched volleyball throughout the generations. I think that's, a fantastic thing for us to continue to do and evangelize the sport as well and try to get it out to the youngsters and the oldsters and just keep having a great time doing it.
Hey, we had a great pod with Theo Edwards. Got to see him play against Long Beach State. And then do we want to announce who our next podcast is? Yeah, well, I think Theo ran into a brick wall with Long Beach State, to be quite honest. Long Beach State just looked that good. Northwoods looked solid for sure, but just as of today, Long Beach State's on just another level. So we're going to have the number 1 team in the country's head coach, our former teammate at Long Beach State and teammate at A6 Paul Mitchell. Number 1 head coach at Long Beach State is Alan Knipe. We have him coming on the next pod, and it's gonna be good.
Absolutely. I can't wait for us, to launch that one out. And again, goes back to what we were just talking about, telling stories, right? We had Theo Edwards, who's doing a fantastic job at my alma mater. By the way, a lot of texts within the Northridge crew after that release of the pod, and people are so excited about the program, what he's doing. Everyone wants to stay and get more involved, and so
Awesome.
I'm glad we were able to do the pod just for a few reasons, right? Just to talk about Northridge volleyball, talk about college volleyball, but also get it out there for all the programs, and we'll try to do that for many programs and many coaches that want to come in here and talk shop, and I do want to keep talking about men's college volleyball. And I would love if you guys want to comment on this, but UCLA just beat Stanford a couple nights ago at Pauley Pavilion, and something that's cool for me because we talk about parenting all the time on here, right? And one of the hardest things to do, and every student athlete in college has a parent or parents or someone that's taking care of them. So, just to know that they're out there competing, they still have a loved one watching them. Well, UCLA's playing at home against Stanford, and their setter's very sick, can't play. So next man up, and who's the next man up? Trent Taliaferro. He's a freshman, gets a chance to play in his first college volleyball match at Pauley Pavilion. That's really cool, right? Most people are like, oh, he's a freshman, he can start.
Coming off the bench, right? But
the cool thing is, there's a little twist to that, is his father, Brandon Taliaferro, is an assistant coach at UCLA. Brandon Taliaferro is a former national champion, All-American setter at UCLA.
So he's on the bench.
He's on the bench.
Hawks is like, you're in.
They give him a call. He gets the start, and they beat Stanford in 4, and he plays great. I think we'll put a picture or two up on here to show you the love of the father-son. The other thing that probably was kind of cool that maybe no one's even talked about is his mother played at Stanford. And his mother, Heidi Taliaferro, is a national champion at Stanford.
Kidding.
To make it even tougher in that match is he didn't just win a match at Pauley. Yeah. He didn't just beat an opponent with his dad coaching or being he beat Stanford, where his mother was, a great player, a national champion. And so you talk about how that would drive home. He's a college student, but how that conversation must have went, for all of them. It's
for dinner, after dinner, it's like, oh, mom, and dad, funny. That's awesome. Also, I'll get all 3 of them on there. I didn't know there was a Stanford connection. That's awesome.
Yeah, did I.
And I can tell you this because I know this because you guys saw me at that game at the Long Beach State game wearing a UCLA shirt. Yeah. Heidi was right in front of us wearing a UCLA shirt.
Well, family.
She's a proud Bruin.
Yeah.
Her husband is now a national champion coach. Was on John Sprad's staff when they won it the last few years. He's a national champion player. And
he's the assistant coach for a national team.
Yeah, he took the job to work with Eric Sullivan as the assistant coach for the women's USA volleyball team. This will be his last year at UCLA, and to be able to coach your son, not just on the team, but to actually play, win a match where you used to win matches, where his mom and wife has played and won matches. Yeah. To play in the historic Pauley Pavilion in that kind of setting, in that situation, pretty cool.
That's a good story.
Congrats
right
to you,
there.
Trent Taliaferro and the Bruins, and Johnny Hawks. Great win for you guys, and way to find a way to continue your role.
You said,
great story.
Brandon's going to be leaving UCLA though and going to the national team. Is that what you said?
Yes, he's going to be an assistant coach.
That's got to be a difficult situation though, I would think, or a decision, because he's coaching his kid. I mean, that's kind of a once in a lifetime thing to coach your kid at a collegiate level, and then actually leave as his going into his sophomore year to go coach the national team.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a catch-22. I don't know if I'd want to coach my kid at that level personally. I coached my kids growing up, and I look back at it, and I don't know. I love being a parent watching, especially when the kids are playing at an elite level. You talk to Al about it, and he'll talk about it with his son. Is sometimes you don't even think about it, right? Because you're trying to win a match. You got 5 other guys on the court, and your son's this. But just like Al and Brandon's, their kids are setters, so they're engaged in every single play, right? It'd be like me as a middle. Like if I don't get set, I might go around a bunch of rotations and not touch the ball for I don't know, could be 3, 4, 5 rotations if I don't get a set. The setter's touching the ball every single time. He's like a quarterback, right? He has the ball in his hands to do something with it. So like to be involved that much, like I'm not saying that's why he did it. To get an opportunity to coach for the United States of America, coach with Eric Sullivan, move over to the women's game where there's just a plethora of more teams at this point. I think it's a great call. He's a great young coach. He's a great volleyball mind. He's an unbelievable competitor. And he's also, just like I say this, both him and Heidi are great human beings as well. And I'm so excited for all their success.
Joy McKenzie told me long time ago, she goes, Sully, you're going to be the best coach, best technical coach in your gym. Train your kids, but if all possible, don't coach your kids. And that's sunk in pretty hard for me. And I've done that ever since. So like, did that with Savannah, did that with Tegan. With Tegan, I'd always call myself the third assistant. There was a head coach, an assistant coach, and then I wanted to be two seats down because Tegan was playing, but I'm like, I'm just going to call serves right now, and I'll do technical stuff, but I wasn't the head coach. I wasn't the first assistant on her club team, right? So I really took that to heart, and, like you have a little hesitation, Cole, in your voice going, yeah, I did it, but you know what I mean? I'd rather be watching type of thing.
I'll say it, we're allowed to say what we want on this. I was a bigger dick to my kid than anyone else. And like, I love coaching. Mm-hmm. My father was a high school coach for 43 years. Mm-hmm. It's what's in my blood. I just got into sales and, lived a different life, but we're going to go back into coaching because I miss it. And I love teaching. The problem is when you have your child on there and the competitor within me, you guys played with me. So the competitor within me and the wherewithal is I'm going to teach and coach and be super positive to your kids.
Yeah.
I would never scream at your kids. I would never say, what are you doing? Go run another lap. Like would never do anything. That'd be positive. Don't worry about it, Sully. Swing at the next ball. You're going to get a base hit. Oh, don't worry about striking out. Like to my kid, it's like, get back in the cages. And so like it caused problems when we were younger. I mean, it really did. Right? I said this on a different pod. So I don't know how, I obviously coaching at the collegiate level, I'm sure it's a little different, right? Your kid's already gotten to that spot, they're there. But again, it's your kid, right? And you want your kid to succeed. And more importantly, when I watch my kids, it's not about me. I don't want them to succeed so I can walk around the gym saying, oh, my kid scored 20 points. I want them to embrace what you and I, all three of us have had. You know that feeling when I don't in college, but that feeling you guys had in Hawaii when that last ball hit the ground and you won a national championship with your brothers. You can't describe it. I mean, you can't even really put it into words. The wins we had, even in Memphis, or, we can go to different places, winning down at the beach on a 4-man on a Saturday, playing against Delhi and Rocky, Miss Iraq, that winning that game mattered, right? And you were happy to win that. And so, like, I think maybe at that level, coaching your kid, you're probably there. But
it's just like Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma, we dogpiled for club nationals when we won the whole thing. Dogpiled at, after college. I mean, it's a big deal. But I took that Joey McKenzie to heart, and I gave like my kids private lessons, but we didn't talk like game strategy, and I never talked about what the coaches would say. It's just like I would technically help them, but like I said, I was way down the bench and let those guys do lineups and feedback and all. Like I was as far away as I possibly could. At the same time, those coaches, they wanted me there, they wanted my feedback, but I wasn't going to be the one to tell them anything or tell them what to do or the kids. So. That was a really good advice from Joy McKenzie, and like I said, I took that to our Furbringer. Sorry,
and I think that maybe sometime this summer might be a good time to do the parent programming.
Parent series, our parent athlete series.
Because I would actually love to hear from Joy and Matt, from Brandon and Heidi, from Corin and Sarah. From Matt and Jamie.
And his boy, too. I'm telling you, I've already brought it up to him.
I would love to listen to how they did it. Because I can tell you this, like going back to what you were saying. After I coached Little League, I never, 1 year in the YMCA when Jake was 5, I think, but I never coached those two in basketball. I always paid someone and had someone do it. I played basketball in high school. I love basketball, but I don't coach basketball. Right. I don't know the intricacies. But the one thing that Mooney and I did, I think probably when Jake was maybe 11-ish, And he's like, I want to play in the NBA, right? Like, I want to play in the NBA. Okay, like, I don't want to play baseball anymore. I want to play in the NBA. So we sat him down and we wrote a list of like 15 things. And we said, listen, here's the reality. You have a 1 or 2% chance of making it if you do every one of these things every day, like you say. If you don't, you have 0 chance.
Right.
So it's your choice.
Yeah.
So we were coaching the mental aspect of sports and the game in general, not basketball itself, but sports and the competitiveness. That's what we did with Jake from that point forward, as well as with Braden growing up, because he was the younger one, so he got to hear it all.
Right.
And so, like, that's what we were focused on. And so, like, parents are always like, I don't want to push my kid, or, oh my God, I got to drive him. You know, he's like 14. He doesn't want to go train. Well, he's 14. Of course he doesn't want to go train. Not every single person is built like LeBron James, like from the get-go, that just doesn't want to do anything ever but basketball. Even someone that's going to play in the NBA on a Saturday when they're 14 doesn't always want to just go train every second, right? So it's like we'd pull out the list. But Jake, you told us you wanted to play in the NBA. Like, I didn't want to get up at 7 in the morning on a Sunday and drive you 45 minutes to train,
Sure.
but I will.
Yeah.
Because you said, is that what you want? And so he'd be like, that's what I want. Okay, so there's no
Let's
questions
go do
getting in the car. And by the time he's maybe 14, 15-ish, no problem. There was never an issue. And Braden's been doing it since he's been a little kid. But that's been our focus. I'd love to hear from other people.
No, I think the
and how they
series
did
is
it.
going to be great. That was part of what I want to do from the get-go, which is nice. And now that people are starting to get on with Set the Pipe, I think that series is going to be great. It's going to be, even the two parents is really going to be really unique. If we can have those 3 on there, that would be fantastic. But I think it's going to be a wonderful series, because I think every story is going to be different of how they handled it, what they didn't do in recruiting process, how they're supporting from either local, from afar, in terms of what in their college. So even Bobby Peterson, right? It's just 2 sets of twins.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 sets of twins, and each set, one of them stayed at UNI, and then the older one, as she finished her career at Texas, came back to UNI. So she had both twins on one team, and now she has again one twin on UNI, and the other one's at Louisville, right? So again, getting her on here, and she's all for it. She gave me the green light. It's just a matter of time because they're in the recruiting process right now.
Yeah.
But
It's I can't wait. I can't wait just because I want to learn. I mean, I'm out of the woods now. So I mean, I got a kid that's going one more year of high school and he's going to college, so I don't have to really worry that much. I still talk about the mental aspect and the games and things like that, but I'm really intrigued. I'm really excited to have that because I want to hear. I've talked to Joy about it quite a bit, and she does it differently than me. A few things differently, and the thing that we all come back to, which I think most of the hierarching theme will be, is love. From all those parents,
support.
Everyone loves them.
Love and support. Yep.
Yep.
I was on the other end of it growing up. My stepdad, he was my coach for flag football for 5 years and for basketball and club basketball. And he was a very strong competitor, and which I think helped install the competitiveness in me. But he was hard on me. He was harder on me than he was on the other kids, because he didn't want people thinking that he was easy on me and I was the coach's kid, so I got special treatment and all that. And there was times I'd come home crying after practice, and all this stuff. But he also he was one of my biggest supporters later in life, and he would go to all my games, all my college games, all my high school basketball games, yada yada yada. And I mean, He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was going to all my games that I coached too. And he was at the scoreboard, and I have to give him a lot of kudos for installing in me his competitiveness and his will to work and win and do all that. And so it was tough. It was tough when I was younger, but we became very, very close later in life.
Sounds like Jake and I, and I'm going to tell one story, and you'll probably make this a short, and it's going to make me look bad. And I'm torn if I regret it or I don't regret it. But this goes back to what you were just talking about, your stepdad being tough. Jake's 7. Okay, guys, 7. Not 12, not 14. He's 7 playing Little League Baseball. I'm the manager, the coach. It's a coach pitch / kid pitch. So it's not even like we're playing in the playoffs or whatever. Game's over. I'm furious. It's an 8 a.m. game on a Saturday. I'm furious. And the kids didn't play hard. They're 7, guys, okay? They're 7, but let me go back to Coley Kyman, got to win. So they're 7. We don't play hard. Jake was lazy, whatever. All the kids want to go get whatever. So everyone's leaving. And Michelle just looks at me and she's like, come on, Jake. He's going home with me because I'd have to drive early to get there to set up the field. She's like, I'm like, just go. So the next thing you know, we're out at a field, the bigger field, and I'm launching balls from the bat, ground balls off his chest. Balls are bouncing up, almost hitting him in the face. He's crying. And one dad, who's my neighbor, comes up, he's Coley. I'm like, just don't talk to me, right? And so the lesson I was trying to teach to him, and again, poorly lesson. I don't know if I truly regret it, because it goes back to what you said, Tim, is you said you learned a lot, how to compete, how to go through things. Could I have done it differently? 100%. But what I was trying to explain to him was, listen, if you're going to play sports, right, fun is the most important thing, right? We need to have fun, but running around in a circle when you're playing right field or shortstop isn't having fun.
At 7 years old.
I don't care. This is and I said, when you play sports, it's a game, and the object of a game is to win. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's not about that. But the object of a game, when you go to play a game, is to win. So if you're going to step on a field, a court, whatever it is, you play to win, and you play hard. Have fun, cheer, jump around, dance with someone, but you play hard. You always give your best. Well, he didn't give his best, and it wasn't even close. So I was like, if you're not going to give your best in the game, you're going to give your best here. Because until your best is done, we're not leaving. Now it's 10 o'clock, 10:30. It's, March, so it's, 70 degrees. It's sunny out, so he's sweating. He's taking balls off the chest. We were there for 15, 20 minutes. A lot of balls off the chest. I don't know if I ever saw him after that point in my whole life that I could think about that he didn't ever play hard.
Yeah.
In Little League, small basketball. Sure. Again, probably not the proper lesson in the way I could have handled it. Maybe there's a way, take him aside, maybe do a sprint or two just to explain the concept of you work hard. I was, angry dad, but I was tough on him. I was really tough on him, but I was trying to teach lessons, which sports does. Again, I kind of did it the wrong way, but it's interesting, to see how, parents do it. I mean, I'm sure others have done similar stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
I wasn't there.
Yeah, my dad was a football coach and well respected, 7th, 8th grade type thing. He played in college, and all the guys like, oh man, I'm so sorry, you're your dad's son. He did a really good job disguising that, because I just worked hard. I was just in me, and I never thought that he was harder on me than anything. I think the expectations were there, but I don't think he was like one off on me and just kind of treating me different. Though my teammates thought, it wasn't brutal, but it was like there was an overt, that's coach's, and he's not going to treat me special, like Bear said, right? But I think what really paid off is when he wasn't a high school coach. And so when I scored or had a huge hit or had an interception or anything, he was the first one up in the stands with his hands up, going, good job. I spotted him in the stands every single time I came off the field. And that was just a full circle of, I'm doing it right. And that's the guy that's the guy that taught me. That's the guy that taught me discipline and taught me hard work and always go 100% until the season's done. And if you don't want to ever do it again, then you don't have to ever do it again. But once you start something, it's 100%, and then you can stop, right? And I've continued that with my kids too. So I'm like, okay, you understand, when you start this, we're not quitting. Yeah. We don't quit, and we go hard all the way through. I don't want to hear you complain. If you're done, when you're done with the season, if you want to walk away, fine. It's fine. You're going to be busy with something, but you got to go 100% the whole time you're there. And that's really stayed true to my all my 4 kids, and it's worked well for us. So
that's great. And my father never really coached me, and it's weird, I skip a generation. He wasn't like that with me. He was quiet. He commented after games, said some things, but very rarely was he angry. Very rarely was he like, you didn't do this, or
my dad was not like that.
He just watched, cheered, It was incredible to see the complete opposite of what I became. Yeah, interesting. With my kids, of way more engaged, way more involved, way more vocal, mainly with Jake. You know, like I told you in the first one, Braden's just like, okay, Dad, I heard you say this to Jake, you know, already 3 times. Like, I don't need to hear it again, right? Like, and so it's a whole different relationship with him in the second one. But yeah, you know, to bring it back to the full circle, is I am excited for that.
Me too.
That series, because I can't wait to listen to other parents that have done it, and just to see what they did.
Right.
Were they launching balls off their kid's chest, or were they taking him to shakies and saying it's okay to run in circles and let's have fun? Both of us, whoever it is, their kids and my kids are both in the same spot. They're both playing college sports. Did you let them, go in circles and buy them pizza after the game and have fun? Or did you teach them a lesson like me? I'd be curious to know, and again, I don't know if one's right or wrong, right?
Right.
Again, just be curious to listen.
I thought it was great though with my stepdad too, is like after games and stuff, like we would ride home together, and he being my coach, he was right there in the thick of it, and he would critique me like, oh, you did this well, but you need to do this better. So it was like, I got that from him. And then it was like during the week, maybe we didn't have practice. Hey, you want to go shoot some hoops? Let's go work on your free throw. You need to work on your jump shot, or let's go throw the football or whatever like that. So I got like almost personal training too, with private lessons with him too. So he knew what I was doing, and he wasn't just a parent in the stands, just kind of, doing this, and had no idea what was going on. He was right there in the thick of it. And
good for you that you had that.
Yeah, it was great.
I mean,
to circle back, one other thing about, you were talking about winning, with your kid at that age. Have you seen that one little baseball clip? It's about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, where the baseball coach has like 10-year-olds, and they're sitting there, and he's telling them, hey, we're here to win, no matter what your parents say or whatever. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay, I'll find it and I'll send it to you guys, and maybe we can put that on this thing too, because it goes exactly what you're talking about, Coley.
It's a catch-22. Like, and again, as a 54-year-old, I'm 54, as a 54-year-old ex-athlete, parent of 2 children, married to an athlete, I've changed so many times of how I've thought. All of us. I mean, I should show you the text chain to our friends after losing the other night. Mooney was so angry, more angry than me, actually, like angry that we lost. And so just, you guys know what losing is like. Yeah. Like, and so it's a tough one, because again, when they're 7 years old playing Little League baseball on a Saturday morning at 8 in March, 7-year-olds shouldn't give a shit about winning a Little League baseball game when a coach is pitching. And looking back now, I know that, right? I know that now.
Yeah.
And but it's a game, and you should try to win, and you should play hard every time you step on a court or field or whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, looking at it, there needs to be both. And the funny thing is, and I said that earlier, is I didn't have any of those other kids come get balls off their chest. I didn't yell at any of those other kids. I gave them a great cheer, have a great weekend, great job. I'm fuming inside, but those aren't my kids, and I'm not going to yell at them for not. I mean, they're 7,
right?
But my kid got it, right? My kid got it. But
with today. So when I was talking about my kids, I was talking volleyball. With me coaching track right now, I've coached both my kids, in the summer, in the off season, and then I took a position in high school for, because of I took it not to just coach Tegan. Does that make sense? So it's like I took the job to get a job, and then it just so happens to be the jumps coach, and it just so happened that Tegan was in high jump and long jump, right? So, but I do all 3, and it's different because, they don't have to compete against playing time and what position they're going to do. And it's such a different dynamic from a track, because track, it is what it is. Are you faster? Do you run? Do you jump higher? Are you the longest jumper? Yeah. And I'm a technical coach, so the jumps are very technical with physics and all that kind of good stuff. And I excel in that type of situation, but
you're still competing though, and you're competing against yourself, right? Like even in a high jump, like if you've jumped 6 feet before and you're only jumping 5'8" and 5'10's the win, you can win, right? But you, for whatever reason, you don't get there, you don't make it, whatever. So it's like, I love athletics. I'm a huge fan of it. I watch it every time it's on TV, not just the Olympics, but anything I can. And what a cool sport you get to do.
Cole, you got
So I
something?
I just want to say, we were talking about, coaching and doing all these things. It's hard to believe this, but my favorite game I've ever coached in my life. I've coached college. I got to coach Jen Kessie and April Ross to try to make the Olympics back in 2000 or 2004. I've coached a lot of sports, college, high school. We lost a match in the state playoffs at El Toro High School when Michelle and I were coaching, and we lost in 5 at Torrey Pines, which is ironic because my son just lost to Torrey Pines this past week. But we lose in 5, 17-15. It was the best match I feel like I've ever been a part of. I was so proud and so excited to be a part of that, and they lost, and I'll never forget going into the locker room and looking at their faces and crying and just saying, you know what, you won. Like, you did everything you were supposed to do that we asked you to do. Everything.
Great feeling.
You competed, you did everything, and we came up short. They had the ball before we did. It happens. And like, that goes back to all the coaching, and looking back is like, ironically, the best game that I've ever been a part of as a coach was a loss, not a win.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And something that I'm maybe more proud of ever. I just wanted to bring that up.
With the effort and everything you can, it just didn't happen. But you gave us everything that you've had. You were so coachable during the match, and it just didn't turn our way. No, there's been a handful of those for me too. You're just super proud and just walk away with memories and just this puff on your chest a little bit, even though you lost. You feel bad for the kids, no doubt, right? But
of course,
a sense of accomplishment. So, hey guys, we're going to bring on our East Coast correspondent, and that is Dave DeTinley. He has been waiting in the lounge for a little bit of time. So sorry, Dave, we keep you waiting a little bit, but we were just chatting. So, so Dave's been really good about getting us information, fellas, and I don't want to steal his thunder at all, but there's a lot of stuff going on in D3. I didn't know. Was it Sean Dow? No, who's coaching that was at Penn State that's still coaching right now? Who is that, Dave?
Well, his name is, so he's the Southern Virginia coach. His name is Dr. Tom Peterson.
You guys remember Tom Peterson, right?
Of course.
Yeah, he's still coaching.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was watching one of the reviews of the matches. I think Southern Virginia played Marymount, and I was just listening to it in the background, and it was like, hey, and Coach Peterson used to coach at Penn State. Sorry. And I'm like, oh, I got to dig into that. You go look at his bio.
We know.
Yeah.
I didn't know him. I didn't know him.
Yeah.
So
he's the coach there, right? When we were there?
Yes.
He was, right? Yep.
Yes, he was.
So it's pretty lengthy. So not only before they became an official varsity team, by the way, I hope this is funny because like I've been thinking about this whole thing, and then all of a sudden your voices come on, and I'm like, oh shit, game on. So,
welcome. Good to see you, Dave.
Hey,
Yeah, exactly.
good to see you guys.
Our podcast, we don't fuck around here. We get after it. Let's go.
So, 4 or 5 national club championships, and then obviously they went D1, and he has some championships there, and then he went to Penn State, won one there. But 7 years ago, moved to Southern Virginia, and has numerous conference championships, and for the last 2 seasons, basically undefeated with only 1 loss. And so they're the number 2 ranked team in the country. But my point was, my very first comment to you guys when I joined was something about the coaching pedigree down or at the D3 level. And I mentioned, obviously,
Aldous
and Coach Sullivan and stuff. And this was another one of those where I was like, oh, this was an interesting fact. So I thought I'd throw it over to you guys.
Again, that goes back to just growing the sport of volleyball, and how great is that? I mean, he's coached against me, but coached against a lot of great men's volleyball players, and to bring his knowledge and his experience and his joy of the game to the D3 level is awesome, right? It just ups the level. We had Theo on the other day, and we were talking about his match against Cal Lutheran.
Great interview, by the way.
Thank you. Theo's amazing. So we're grateful he came on, and looking forward to him coming on again. But one thing that resonated with me, what he said is, Cal Lu had a couple guys that are throwing out serves that they're seeing every night in the D1 level. He said they were, super polished. Obviously, there's a difference just with as many guys and whatnot. And, Northridge was able to take care of business in 3, but he was thoroughly impressed. And just knowing the level at that, and Cal Lutheran's one of the top, 10 teams in the country in D3. But going back to what you just said about, Peterson going down, the level of volleyball at D3 is far greater than most people can imagine. And the coaching, like you said, is Chuck English and the coach at Cal Lutheran as well, they're killing it. They played at a high level. They've coached at high levels. They're doing such a great job there, and they're doing it all over the country.
And so, Dave, we always talk about, the biggest name in Division I right now is Moni Nikolov, right? So what kind of the top setters over there do you see in D3? Do you got some names for us?
Yeah, so as I was just messing around trying to have a little fun, just doing like mid-season awards of what I've seen. This is the Dave DeTenley eye test, so just bear with me here. But but I will say I just kind of made up some award stuff. But with all legitimacy, I know you asked about setters. There's an absolute stud athlete out of Wittenberg, and this is that guy, Michael Yerk. Tall, thin, probably 6'4", Kevin Durant sort of body, like a lot of guys today. Easily 40-inch vertical. He was an incredible athlete to watch. He plays opposite for them, I believe. He's not in serve receive rotation, so he has to be opposite, but he was great. But by far the most complete person, I'll get to your question here in a sec, Sully, but by far the most complete person I've seen is that Christian Schaefer out of Southern Virginia, preseason All-American. He played all around against my son's team at Eastern Mennonite. Legit. Just in my opinion, humble opinion, you guys have seen a lot more D1, but just a pure all-around skills. Played middle back D, great D blocking, hitting, everything. But overall, I just made up one. I made up this name of this called "This is Nikolov's World," and we're just in the bleachers watching it award. By far, though, out of all of them, outside of Yerk and Schaefer, and there's been a lot of really good players, don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed following them and seeing them, and I'm probably going on, 30, 40 matches this year live, such. So is the setters at this area, at this level. Southern Virginia's Garrig Tolman was really, really confident. He reminded me of the USC setter from a few years ago when I saw him at USAV. But the Rutgers Newark setter is a guy named Derek Au. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, or Au. He was great. And I was texting Sully right after it. Like, you wouldn't, this is no dig on him, but physically you wouldn't go, holy cow. But he sliced and diced and just tore up, I thought, Eastern Mennonite pretty well. And he was very, very good. Randolph-Macon's Cody Rogan, by far, had a great battle against Tolman at Southern Virginia. They played at a tournament at Eastern Mennonite, and those two setters were fantastic to watch. But
great lesson, don't judge a book by its cover.
No, absolutely. And then you go, so just to see the impact, I would say this, for Nikolov standing out this year from Long Beach on how really, really, truly good he is. And I loved Coach Theo's comment about watching him as a fan is fantastic, but coaching against him and scouting him is a problem. I thought that was a great comment. Yeah. I thought that was a fantastic comment. So my point is that aside from a few of the other guys that I just mentioned, the setters from all different levels, Wisconsin Union, Wittenberg's, Randolph-Macon's, the new team, Westminster out of Missouri, the setters have been really solid. So,
well, and they're going to learn. That's what Theo said, right? Like if I'm a setter in this country, I don't care where I'm playing for Bear, in junior college, in high school, college, and D3, you're playing D1. If you're not watching Nikolov and seeing the things he's doing and trying to improve your game, you're missing out. You're missing out. He's transcending the game of volleyball, especially at the setter side. Like all my friends that went up to the Northridge match after against Long Beach beat them pretty handily, but they're all texting because I told them all, I said, go watch this guy because you're only going to see him for a couple matches this year because he'll be gone.
Months, right?
Yeah, he's a one and done, go play pro and make a lot of money. But wow. So that's great to see that the D3 setters are again, they're the quarterbacks of the team and to be able to run stuff and awesome.
Last time before you joined at CK, we were chatting about Long Beach days and just bringing up like Stemfig and that kind of level of the game changing he was, I thought, when he got to Long Beach. And so big difference. difference
It's
makers.
a big difference between Stimfig and Nikolov. What do you mean?
No,
they're
no,
almost
no,
the
no.
same size. They're I'm kidding. Figs
Dude,
are.
Nikolov's hand would cover
No.
Fig's face. I mean,
I love. Anytime I ever got to play with Jason, I loved it because he was a great setter. Yeah.
Mine and Sully's era. That when he came in from the setters that they had recruited, that Rattel had recruited, like our redshirt year there, and then compared to what was it, a couple years later, Sully, that Stimfig came in, like our
he was toward
sophomore
the
year.
end. It was interesting. I tell this to Bear all the time that I never connected well with Fig. All-American, stud, right? I never connected well with him. I connected the best with D'Alessandro because he held the ball a little bit more. So with my jump, right, 40 inches, I was able to get up there, hang, and then swing, where it came out so fast with Fig. I could not connect with the guy. It was, but awful. He's a stud. No question about it. In today's game, he'd be our libero, but
Figgy,
Yeah, you don't.
defense was
I'll tell you,
unbelievable.
I don't know. I mean, when I went to the UCI match in USC, the UCI setter's not giant, and I don't know. Like, I'm
Fig
watching
was
some of
so
the
good in the back row.
That's what I'm saying.
So
like
good.
Again, we talk about the generation of learning the game today compared to then. Like, the thing that I loved about Jason Stimfig, obviously, playing where he grew up and stuff, was he brought a volleyball IQ.
Yeah.
To you guys, not just setting the ball, like understanding the game differently than most setters were doing, right?
Yeah,
he was
his
so
reading,
great.
His reading was just like on the beach, right?
His
He
defense
would
was
steal balls in front of people.
unbelievable.
Yeah. So, Bear, what were you going to say?
Well, Deli had to calm him down a little bit in the back row because he was taking balls from the middle back. He was probably even taking balls from Winslow on the left back, and just trying to. I would never hit down line against the guy because anytime I hit, he dug it.
Yeah, or
And
even tip it remotely near him.
Yeah. His defense, the balls that he would get up, it was phenomenal. I think he's probably one of the best defenders I've ever played against.
Yeah, and you got to figure we had Schroed too. Schroed's most of that year, so he's got 6'4", 6'5" setter with huge, long arms. So he kind of that fits in kind of today's game about how you got these huge setters now with long arms and putting up a big block on that right side.
Yeah, but Stimfig would still have no problem setting in today's game. He'd still be great at it because of the way of the game. Like, is he able to touch 12 feet where some of these guys are hitting? Maybe not. But he'd still be running an offense with no problem. And you look back at your teams, like obviously Hilliard's Hilliard, right? Like without Hilliard, you guys are just like without Nikolov, Long Beach isn't as good, whatever. But Fig to me is probably not just the glue, but he's the IQ of changing your culture back when you guys were pretty good, when Kieran's was there and you guys were really good. But when you got Jason, obviously Hilliard too, but when you got Figgy, he just, he knew how to play the game and was able to control and quarterback that team to being great.
Yeah, I'll go back. If we had to have him in libero, he would have been the best in the country for 4 years.
Sure.
That's how good he was. That's
over
how
Matty
good
Lou?
I'm telling you.
Over Matty Lou? You're taking him over Matty Lou in the back row? Really? Look at Bear.
Matty's platform on serve receive with him and Zach Small were unbelievable, right? But in terms of pure defensive and reading the game, Fig was off the charts.
I think I've only seen one other guy that could dig like Figgy, and it had to be Eric Sato. I remember growing up, and Eric Sato was
a big compliment.
I was just in awe of him. I was a fan of his, and some of the balls he would dig was unbelievable. But I thought Figgy was right there with him, to be honest with you.
Hey, Dave, why in the world are we giving Franklin College kudos today?
I am so in my research to drop on the show. I'm trying to find some good news about the growing of the game overall, and I just go from conference to conference. Something leads to another. I start pulling the string. But bottom line is that there are several new programs for the year, or at least going into next year as well. And Franklin came up. This was their inaugural year. It's just a little bit of a shortened season. I know that the coach there adjusted the schedule for them, but they got their first volleyball win in program history earlier this year, late January.
Congratulations.
I thought it was a
big
good news.
deal, boys.
That's great news. Congratulations,
Big deal.
Franklin. Can't wait to see what you guys are going to do in the future. Keep growing the game. Keep playing the game. Thank you for bringing it to your school, and thank you for promoting the game of men's volleyball.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's why. And there's a couple other ones starting. ODAC's expanding. That's the Old Dominion one out of Virginia. I met and talked to the Shenandoah coach who's starting a program next year. as well as Bridgewater also joins the ODAC officially. So that'll take them to 9. So that conference officially recognized the sport this year. It had several members that had it, but it had enough now to officially recognize it.
Awesome.
And it's continuing to expand. So
Yeah, that's
those are
huge,
just
man.
some of the cool stories, by the way.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, boys, we know this was going to be a short one today. Dave, you weren't on earlier, but we did announce that we're going to be having the number 1 team in the country, Division I's head coach on here, Alan Knipe. Pretty excited about that. And we do have, gosh, how many guys? 3, 4 that's already booked with us. So hopefully everybody enjoyed today. Sorry, like I said, Dave, it was short. You waited
good.
a little bit, but
You crushed it, Dave, by the way.
yeah, as usual, Dave, you absolutely, you add to our podcast for sure.
Bless you.
Absolutely, Dave. Quick question for you and for the audience here with D3. When's the tournament start? How much longer of the season till the playoffs start?
So we're conferences. So there's 14 recognized conferences. Those will all be the auto bids. They start, let's see, that week of, is it April 8th? It's like the 10th through the 12th-ish, somewhere in there. And
so we got a solid month left of this season. Okay.
Yeah, and then the tournament is that last week in April as well.
Great.
And it's being hosted in Virginia at Roanoke College, which has incredible sports arena. So it's going to be a great location. Looking forward to get there.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, again, everybody, thanks for joining Set the Pipe. Subscribe, please. I guess it's that way, right? That way when we kind of do
there.
things. Yeah, down there.
Hit subscribe.
Yeah.
Follow all the stuff. Yep.
Yeah, follow all that kind of good stuff. So appreciate you boys. Love you guys. And
love you back. Thanks for listening.
Set the pipe.
Always set the pipe, baby.